Hi, everyone. Welcome to this workshop. My name is Dr. Adri-Anna Aloia. I'm the founder and director over here at the foundation of IMG. What we do over at the foundation is support individuals such as yourself through medical school and beyond, so postgraduate and even going into residency. We have a bunch of different resources. With respect to financial support, one of the items which we have invited Stonebrooke Private Wealth Management team with us today to talk about is about wealth management. So here with us today is their financial advisor and VP of Business Development, Mr. Craig Ripley. Thank you for coming.
Thanks, Adri-Anna. Great to be here and participate with IMG Foundation. We've been talking for months, I guess, up to this point. So it's good to finally be putting this together and to have the opportunity to share some financial insights with the medical professional community.
Yeah, thank you. We're very excited to be able to talk about this right now. One of the things that we wanted to touch base on is, financial literacy is a new concept. It's not something we're taught in school. It's something that we kind of learn along the way. But can you please describe to me what financial wellness means to an individual?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point that you make. I think, unfortunately, I think there's some progress being made with respect to financial literacy and hopefully teaching it to the future generations, but most people who are already in the workforce or into their careers probably didn't get much coaching on that or any school education a lot of the time on that. So unless their parents or somebody have taught them some practices. So really financial wellness just refers to achieving a level of financial security where you're able to meet your current and future financial needs. Obviously, that can mean a lot of different things to different people and depends on the individual. But I think at the end of the day, it's about having a bit of a plan in place and having maybe someone helping you out along the way, or a coach or an advisor to help you achieve wellness. And we can talk for days about how financial wellness impacts mental health and all these other aspects of life as well. So
Absolutely. So can you please tell us how a service such as yours, especially with Stonebrooke Private Wealth Management, how that can help your clients?
I think, it starts with, I would say, where I alluded to before, is helping people have a bit of a plan. So there's a lot of different products, if you will, and different areas in which we can help people. When you say wealth management, people probably think about just money and investments and wealth. That wealth word can be intimidating for some people. Really, the different services include anything from portfolio management, risk mitigation, and planning. I guess would be sort of some of the key pillars. And I think how we would help is really, and what I sell is a long-term relationship, and that you're going to have a plan maybe, but life happens, things change. So I think helping people have that sort of a bit of a roadmap and have an eye on what they're trying to accomplish, whether that be in the short term, long term, retirement, even after death, is helpful. And then obviously things happen along the way, and having someone that you want to work with long term who can help you really helps and will help people achieve those goals, because having that coach or mentor or an advisor to keep you accountable and remind you of what you need to do to get there tends to benefit people greatly. There's plenty of studies out there to show that.
Yeah, I definitely think that, we all understand the importance of a mentor, especially within medicine. So I think that everyone can definitely agree with that. Another thing is that, we don't really know when those problems are going to arise or when something happens and when we really do need something in place to be able to cover us for that. I was wondering, can you talk a little bit more about what risk mitigation means for our colleagues?
Yeah, sure. There's risk in life, period. Essentially, we're talking about the word insurance, I guess. So, there's many different aspects to risk mitigation. And I guess we look to identify risks that could impact your financial goals negatively. So what could happen? I mean, let's use a young medical professional, for example, who's, on the verge of really starting their career. What is your greatest asset? Your greatest asset is the ability, to go to work and earn the income that you're about to earn for the next 30 to 40 years, or however long your career ends up being. That's going to be worth way more than a house, and way more than any car, or probably your savings, because that's, that income's what's going to provide all of that. So, imagine an unexpected illness or a disability, or not being able to work for a long period of time. That could be a huge risk to someone in the medical profession. And imagine, often, obviously, medical professionals have specializations and have to use their hands, or have to have a very unique skill set. If something were to happen that would prevent them from being able to do that for the rest of their career, that would have a huge financial impact on their lifestyle, their family, etc. There's ways to mitigate that risk in the event that, heaven forbid, something like that does happen. So it's important. Like, if you had a machine in your house that printed money, you'd insure it, right? you'd want to take care of it. So, that's kind of along the way. I mean, people often just think about life insurance. What if they die? Obviously, that's a big risk to their family. We like to remind people, what about yourself? I mean, who's going to take care of you? And the reality is, when you're young and, something negative could happen, may not kill you, but it could have a huge financial impact. So it's not just, what if I die? What if I get sick? Or what if I can't work for a period of time? So I guess that's to us where risk mitigation, because that's going to impact all those financial goals and the whole plan, and everything that you had in mind when you start your career. Hopefully that answers.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I think that it's a very interesting concept for a lot of our colleagues, because, again, we're novices to the field. A lot of us, and a lot of individuals who are watching this video right now, have recently graduated. So, we are familiar with the idea of insurance and medical insurance, for example. But, having to take in all these different considerations for a career and what's going to impact us later on, and really the longevity of our career is really kind of where insurance becomes really important. It's hard for us to really conceptualize that. And, for some of us, we're just starting to make an income. We're starting to actually have a paycheck, and that's really
Yeah.
exciting. So with that in mind, knowing that we are new to our career, new to this field of work, essentially, and reproducing for ourselves, what are some things that we can do to help set us up for our future?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great point. I mean, you're finally starting to make some money, and, like, the last thing you probably feel like doing is buying some insurance to make sure nothing bad happens. And that's why, I mean, there's different products out there, and I think working with an advisor who can understand sort of the whole picture, where are you today, where are you trying to go, what can we do in the short term, and that's part of why, like, when I say having a plan, it's very much a living thing. I mean, it's going to change, it's going to evolve. I think, you have to probably, to sort of steal a medical term again, is triage. What's most important? What is our biggest risk today? Versus, and you have to weigh out, and you have to make some decisions as to what's important to take care of today. And, even if it's just saving, like putting money aside and saving, and having a slush fund. So what if you need it? And that's no different than if you own a house, and, if the roof leaks, you need to put a new roof on, you better have some money to do it. So it's I guess that's sort of early on. It's like, just understand, like, the potential risk, have a plan, a bit of a budget. I mean, we've talked about this over many conversations prior to today, is, just helping people realize, okay, this is what you have, here's your tax implications. I think one thing that professionals, whether they be medical professionals or lawyers, whatever, they could go to school, they get a special skill, call it, and what they forget is, they don't realize, they don't get necessarily prepared for it, all of a sudden now you're a business owner, essentially. You're not just going and doing what you thought, whether you're a doctor or a physiotherapist, whatever, you don't just get to go treat. You often end up owning a clinic or running a business and doing all these other things. So I think that's where helping and having that plan, and the point is some of the solutions are going to evolve. They're going to change over time as your career progresses. At the start, it's essentially nothing but risk. I mean, you don't have wealth. You're just starting it out. So okay, risk mitigation is probably where you start. And as you get further along, it becomes more about tax efficiency and wealth preservation, and so it's again, that's why I say it's a long-term relationship that I preach. You need somebody who can help you today, 5 years from now, 10 years, and just grow with each other.
I love it. You're making it sound like just being born into it. We're now at the infantile stage, and we're trying to to get all our roadblocks together. But no, I think you're right. Definitely to have somebody who has insight, being able to actually direct you in the right way. It helps, and it makes us feel like we're not alone. And
Yeah.
yeah, and having that leadership is definitely important, especially because as we've talked about before too, you guys are versed in this skill where we haven't had the chance to really cultivate this skill yet.
Right. Yeah, and I think, again, like if someone gets sick or has needs surgery, hopefully they're not calling their financial advisor to and hopefully they're going to talk to the doctor. And again, and that's why, like, you don't have to do these things yourself. I think today a lot of people try to do everything themselves, and they want to. And hey, I think it's important to, we enjoy when clients are engaged in the process and want to be involved. A classic line that we often say is, your financial plan needs to be more important to you than to me. It's yours, right? But at the same time, doing it alone, people can make mistakes, I think. And, at the end of the day, it's about, finding someone that you like and trust and you kind of want to work with for the long term. And they're going to have your well-being at the forefront. And, no different than going to the doctor. I mean, or if your car breaks down, again, you don't call the doctor, you don't call the financial advisor, go to the mechanic. Like, that's sort of, I guess, the message is, get some help. There's plenty of evidence out there. People who work with an advisor are more prepared for retirement, have more in retirement, and quite frankly, are prepared, maybe, again, not to just harp on the risk stuff, but they're going to be better prepared for that too if something bad happens.
Totally. Thank you. One of the things we kind of touched upon a little bit earlier was the aspect of really owning a business. What are your thoughts about doctors incorporating their practices? It's kind of something that we look into a little later, not necessarily at the start of residency and such, but what are your thoughts on that?
Right. Again, setting up a medical professional corporation can definitely be advantageous for doctors. You're, at the end of the day, you're self-employed essentially in that regard. And so, having a corporation is one of the tools at your disposal, and there's ways of, using that to your benefit. And, as advisors, we recommend that people, try to take advantage of whatever tools are available to them. And, you start to think about tax and taxation. And, if you're, successful and, you're earning a higher income, with that, if you're all earning all of that money personally, you're then paying more tax. And again, back to having a plan. If your lifestyle costs X, maybe the money should go to your corporation. This is very simple, high level. Money flows to your corporation, then you support your personal needs with what's, the corporate tax rate is, call it 12% roughly. The highest personal tax rate is 53%. Pretty big gap there. So there's a lot of opportunity to be more tax efficient there. And so business owners, almost every business that's successful is going to be incorporated. So, my message, I guess, to doctors is, you should probably be doing what successful business owners are doing. It just makes sense. And certainly that's a conversation that we could probably talk more about another day. But there's a lot of benefits, I would say. And you're right. I mean, does it have to be the first thing you do when you finish residency or start? Maybe not. Certainly, probably doesn't have to be, but it's certainly something that you probably want to have that conversation with either your accountant or financial advisor and help you to decide when that makes the most sense to do that. Like, doesn't have to be day one.
So I know that we've talked about it before, about the different stages of not only going through your career, but also in terms of planning for yourself. And I believe you called it the wealth cycle. Can you just describe this a little bit for our colleagues out there?
Yeah, I mean, I alluded to it a little bit earlier, and I don't think I said wealth cycle, but when you start out, you're a new professional. Basically, there's risk and very little wealth. As you move along, you begin to build income, begin to build wealth, your assets grow, you start saving, you edge towards retirement. The further you get along towards retirement, that risk and like becomes next to nothing, and it's all about wealth. And so there's a different set of problems at that point. It's like, okay, how do we back to sort of tax efficiency becomes something we like to talk a lot about, is like, and what does that mean? It means, you know, keep as much of what you've worked hard for yourself and your family or your grandchildren. And again, I know it's very hard to probably think about that when you're just starting your career, but and you're not at that stage. You're at that first stage where it's all risk. So really, it's this continuum where you work from risk, all risk, no wealth, to very little risk and lots of wealth. And sort of we work along there, and we help people know where they are on that, and the needs. Everyone obviously is different and has slightly different needs and goals and things like that. But the core sort of solutions that are kind of applied to almost everybody or every business owner, whether you're a doctor or a small business owner. If you're at a different stage of the cycle, that's where you're at. And like, just to simplify it even further, think about if you're young and maybe you've just gotten married and just started a family. You end up buying a house, and now you've got two little kids, for example, let's say, who, and I fit into this category right now. It's two young children that I'm responsible for probably like about 20 years. That's a lot of risk, and a mortgage, and think about that. That's all risk, right? And imagine when your kids have gone to school, they're out of the house, they're independent, you're nearing retirement, which means you can basically, your assets are enough to live off of for the rest of your life without working. There's no risk, right? So that's really what we're saying. And I think that's relatively easy to understand, hopefully. And that's part of our job too for people, I guess, is make things understandable. It can be pretty complex, and the ability to communicate things sort of at an understandable level for everyone is important. So you want to, feel like you understand your plan and the solutions that you're putting in place. I think is important for people.
Yeah, I definitely think that having someone around who can provide that financial support and financial advice can be very beneficial. I know that a lot of our colleagues actually are newlyweds and and actually are planning to start their family soon, with the next couple of years. And some of them have already started their own family as well, and are carrying that burden through medical school. So it's not uncommon to have financial stress. It's not uncommon to have financial responsibilities that we have to go through, not just going through medical school. And I think that's really the point of why we're having this chat today, is to really let people know that, yeah, like life happens, and how are you going to best support yourself through life, and what are the things that you need. And I do think that, like I mentioned before, having a financial advisor around can definitely declutter some of those things and worries, and hopefully make the whole process a lot easier than what it would have been without it, as we alluded to before as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, people can get, I'm sure you can imagine, think of when you procrastinate maybe, and you've got a whole bunch of things backing up on your plate. It's really hard to get started. So it's like, okay, by working with someone who's out, sort of has taken a step back, and they're not really in it. When you get stuck into life and it's like, oh, I got family, kids, new career, everything going on, it can be a little overwhelming. Where do you start? And then you do nothing. People end up sort of stuck. So I think having an advisor who can say, okay, you know what, like, understanding, like, yes, it can be stressful, can impact people's well-being, like health. Actually, financial stress can probably certainly impact your health. So just having that person to say, okay, let's take care of these things. And I think everyone would agree, when you start to do things one at a time, and you just, you got this long list, but when you check things off that list and you get there to the end, you feel much better, even when you make any progress. So it's like lightening that load. And I think that's where an advisor can really help, is like, okay, let's just one thing at a time. And it doesn't have to be, 365 days a year. It's, we got lots of time. Let's work through this. Let's back to the triage. What's most important to do? Take care of today. Maybe one or two things. We're going to have an ongoing relationship, meaning we're going to be in contact. You can call your advisor anytime, hopefully. Hopefully they're going to answer your calls or emails. And then hopefully they're going to coach you a bit and say, okay, we should talk about this once a year, twice a year, whatever, like sort of as you grow. And I think that will give people a lot of peace of mind and hopefully help with their health as well, because that hopefully finances don't become a huge stress.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Craig, for this discussion. I think it's helped out a lot of our colleagues to be able to not only know that there is support out there that is available, but also to at least start that discussion for themselves about how to plan and support themselves financially. To those who are watching this video, you can start by actually going to our website, foundationofimg.org, and going to resources, finances plus, and then you'll see a financial planning support page whereby we will have material from our colleagues over here who've been with us and very generously have helped us out with answering some questions that are common out there. Craig, what is the best way for our colleagues to reach out to you guys if they want any support, if they want to get started on this?
Yeah, I mean, we're always happy to have a discussion. I mean, for one, it doesn't cost anything to talk to an advisor. I think maybe some people think they have to have a whole bunch of money or they have to maybe pay for time, at least not at our firm. So, pick up the phone is an option. We can, via your website, you can either, I believe, land on our web page, or you can go to our Stonebrooke, pwm.ca. Or, I'm available at craig.ripley@stonebrookepwm.ca. My phone number is on the website, I believe, as well. We're basically here to talk to people, and it always starts with a conversation. I mean, we're excited to hopefully be able to support people that are using Foundation of IMG, and we're excited about this partnership. And again, I think hopefully we can help relieve the burden, and even if it's not us, find an advisor, get some help with this type of thing. You need support. You can't do everything yourself, and we can help make this simpler, hopefully, and less confusing than it can sometimes be.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. And guys, if you need any support, feel free to reach out.
Thank you.